Hello children, welcome to AIMS today's online classes biology session. Transportation, the circulatory system, part 6. In the last class we have studied about the lymphatic system and about the evolution of transport system. In unicellular organisms like amoeba, the movement of particles or the substances takes place by Brownian movements, isn't it? And we also discussed that in simplest intracellular transport system present in unicellular animals, and in multicellular animals they have developed more complicated system for transportation of materials. The protozoans and in parazoans like sponges, okay, they use the sea water for the transportation. They use the water currents. If it is not sufficient, they use the flagella which are present in their body. And in cnidarians there is a better evolved system, gastrovascular cavity, okay, we have discussed already. And in this gastrovascular system takes the responsibility of digestion and transportation of nutrients. In platyhelminths, the digestive system is highly branched and supplies the digested food, and it supplied to all the cells directly. Next, in animals like nematohelminths, there is a pseudocoelom, the body cavity, taken up the function of collection and distribution of materials. In annelids, eucoelomate animals, means true coelom is present and have developed a pulsatile vessels to move the fluid and transporting the medium. It is different. In arthropods, okay, they have developed a pulsatile organ to pump the blood, that is the heart, okay. And the blood directly, there are no blood vessels in these arthropods and mollusks. The blood flows in the body. Oxygen is directly supplied to the tissues directly by the respiratory system. So such type of transport system which supplies the nutrients to the tissues directly is called open type of circulatory system, which is seen in the arthropods, many molluscans and lower chordates. The other type of transportation system where the blood takes the responsibility of delivering the materials, so which flows in the blood vessels, it is called closed type of circulatory system. Such type of closed circulatory system is present in annelids, echinoderms, cephalopods like mollusks, example higher mollusks in octopus and higher animals. So if you come to our transport system, it is a closed type of circulatory system in human beings, okay. So today the human circulatory system can move 1 ml of blood from the heart to a foot and back, which is approximately 2 meters in about 60 seconds. It would take more than 60 years for the substances to move across this distance by diffusion. So that's why in higher animals there is separate circulatory system is developed in the process of evolution. Today we are going to discuss about the blood pressure as well as the coagulation of blood and how the materials transport in the plants also to some extent we are going to study. What is blood pressure? To move the blood through its network of vessels, a great deal of force is required. Okay, the force is provided. The force is provided by the heart and is at its highest when the ventricles contract. When the ventricles contract, the pressure will be very high, forcing the blood out of the heart and into the arteries. So, the heart pumps blood directly into the arteries. The pulmonary artery, as soon as the ventricle, right ventricle contract, it carries the blood to the lungs, whereas the systemic artery or aorta, when the left ventricle contracts, carries the blood to all body parts. So, then there is a drop in the pressure as the ventricles refill with blood for the next beat. Means when the ventricles relax, they are filled with the blood. So, blood pressure is always measured in the upper arm artery. The blood pressure varies throughout the body. So, a standard place must be used so that a person's blood pressure can be compared over a period of time. Okay. So, doctors measure the blood pressure with a device called sphygmomanometer. What is the device used by the doctors to measure the blood pressure? Sphygmomanometer. Sphygmomanometer. So, this is the device. Nowadays, modern devices are available. In olden days, there is a box carried by the doctors in which the sphygmomanometer is present. So, a tourniquet or a cloth will be there. So, it will be tied to the upper arm and a bulb to apply the pressure. Okay. Then they measure near the upper arm region with the help of stethoscope. They will hear the sound and the movement of the blood, and a reading will be seen on the screen or a digital watch like it will be. You can observe here. Okay. They will see the average reading. Okay. So, a normal blood pressure will be 120/80. Okay. Here the blood pressure is measured in the units mm of Hg, millimeters of Hg, mercury. Okay. What is the normal blood pressure? 120/80 mm of Hg. So, this upper one 120 indicates the systolic pressure. So, what is a heartbeat? One heartbeat is equal to one systole plus one diastole. Systole is the pressure measured when the heart contracts. That is why it is always high. And 80 represents the diastolic pressure. Diastolic pressure means when the heart relaxes. So, the pressure will be low. So, the average blood pressure of an adult, normal blood pressure of an adult is 120/80 mm of Hg. So, let us know more. Here it is mentioned in the image 120/80. There are two pressure readings. One measures the strongest pressure during the time blood is forced out of the ventricles. This is called systolic pressure. Means as soon as the ventricles contract, the blood moves with high speed, okay, into the arteries. So, it is called the systolic pressure. And for a healthy young adult, it will be 120 mm of Hg. The second reading is taken during the resting period as the ventricles refill with blood. This is called the diastolic pressure. And a healthy young adult, the diastolic pressure will be 80 mm of Hg. 80 mm of Hg. So, the blood pressure will change according to the activity in which the person is engaged, such as resting, walking and running. The people who have high blood pressure during resting period are said to have hypertension. Okay, so normal blood pressure is considered when the person is taking rest. The normal blood pressure is 120/80. If there is a change in that 120/80 figure, it is called hypertension. Especially the systolic pressure is more, then it is called as hypertension. So here this is the device, digital sphygmomanometer, which measures blood pressure accurately. So 120/80 represents the normal blood pressure, 120 represents the systolic pressure, and 80 represents the diastolic pressure. The numerator systolic pressure, denominator diastolic pressure. Next, the blood pressure changes according to the activity in which the person is engaged. Okay, so you can discuss this with your teacher. What about the low blood pressure? When we consider it as low blood pressure, low BP, when the diastolic pressure is less than 80, then it is considered as the low BP. Okay, coagulation of blood. The next concept is coagulation of blood. Coagulation means clotting. So it is another important part in the story of the blood. It is the coagulation. Though only because of this character the animals survive when they met with accident or when they meet severe injuries. When there is an injury, blood clots actually in 3 to 6 minutes. 3 to 6 minutes. So how does the blood clot? So it involves the chemistry. What chemistry involved in the blood coagulation? You know that when you cut yourself, the blood flows out of the wound for only a short time. Okay, that is 3 to 6 minutes. Then the cut is filled with a reddish solid material. This solid is called a blood clot. If blood did not clot, anyone with even a slight wound bleeds profusely, then it may lead to some complications. So here the two images are given. The blood in the blood vessels flows normally. Here a clot is formed here, the fibrous clot formation. Okay. The coagulation of blood involves the following. When the blood flows out, the platelets release an enzyme. The blood platelets, there are three main types of cells present in our blood. What are they? RBC, WBC and blood platelets. They are also called thrombocytes, plate-like cells. Okay, thrombocytes. So whenever a wound occurs or whenever the blood flows out, the platelets release an enzyme called thrombokinase. Thrombokinase. Next, the thrombokinase acts on another substance present in the blood called prothrombin. Prothrombin. Okay. So this thrombokinase converts this prothrombin into thrombin. Thrombokinase converts prothrombin into thrombin, or prothrombin converted to thrombin in the presence of thrombokinase. Thrombin acts on another substance called fibrin, that is present in the dissolved state, converting it into insoluble fibrin. Okay. The soluble fibrin is converted to insoluble fibrin in the presence of thrombin. in the presence of a thrombin. Next, the blood cells entangle in the fibrin or fibrin fibers, forming the clot. This fibrin form the clot mesh like. Next, the fibrin fibers are attached to the edges of the wound and pull them together. So this there is a, after the formation of clot, a straw yellowish colored fluid portion after formation of the clot is released. It is called serum. It is called serum. So you can another important factor also involved in the coagulation of blood, that is vitamin K. Vitamin K. Vitamin K also plays very important role in the coagulation of blood. Deficiency of vitamin K leads to delay in blood clotting. Okay, it is also very important to presence of this vitamin K is also very important. This vitamin is naturally synthesized in the body to some extent, or else it must be supplemented. That's the reason why you might have observed before getting a surgery, the patient will be given vitamin K injection to prevent the profuse blood loss. Okay. Normally the blood that oozes out from the wound, it has to be clot in 3 to 6 minutes, but in some people due to vitamin K deficiency it takes more time because of the genetic disorder. Okay, but in some people due to vitamin K deficiency it takes more time because of genetic disorder, that blood may not coagulate. Okay, some diseases like thalassemia, hemophilia, these are the diseases in which the blood coagulation does not occur normally. This type of disorder is called hemophilia. Hemophilia is common disorder in the children who have born from marriages between very close relatives, consanguineal marriages. Okay, so this hemophilia disease. Thalassemia is another an inherited disorder. It is also related to the blood only. So it is given clearly in the end of the textbook, that is annexed 2. You can see. Thalassemia is a group of inherited blood disorder characterized by mild to severe anemia caused by hemoglobin deficiency. Hemoglobin deficiency in the red blood cells. In individuals with thalassemia, the production of oxygen carrying blood pigment hemoglobin is abnormally low. See here, this is the normal and thalassemia. Normal RBC contains hemoglobin abundantly, but thalassemia, malformed RBC, see the structure of RBC is also ruptured and hemoglobin is very less. Malformed red blood cells they are called. Okay, and there are two main types of thalassemia. One is alpha thalassemia and second one is beta thalassemia. In each variant, a different part of hemoglobin protein is defective. So the individuals with mild thalassemia, they may have symptoms such as anemia, weakness, enlarged liver and spleen, increased susceptibility to infections, slow growth, thin and brittle bones, and even sometimes heart failure also. Next, how materials transport within the plants. So observing root hairs, here one activity is given. To perform this activity, you need to germinate the bajra or mustard seeds. Examine some mustard seedlings which have been grown on wet filter paper, and observe the mass of fine threads coming from the seed by hand lens. These are roots. They have fine microscopic structures called root hairs. These are root hairs trough which water enters the plant. Gently squash a portion of the root hairs between the slide and cover slide in a drop of water and examine under the microscope. So note the thinness of the walls of the root hairs. You can see this is the longitudinal section of root showing the relationship of root hairs and the soil water. So epidermal cell, soil particle, soil water, nucleus, air spaces, cell wall of root hair, vacuole, cytoplasm, and these are the xylem vessels which we can observe here. So this is the longitudinal section of root hair. So it is not completely understood how the water enters the root hairs and pass inwards from cell to cell until it gets into the xylem vessels. But there is no doubt that osmosis plays an important role. So every living cell acts as an osmotic system. The cytoplasm lining of the cell wall acts as the semi-permeable membrane. The root hairs grow out into the spaces between the soil particles that the hair are surrounded by moisture, like this. Okay, you can see the figure how the water particles surround the root hair. This is the root hair. This is the epidermis of the root. These are the xylem vessels. So water enters into the root hairs through the osmosis, then it is carried by the xylem vessels. So the soil water is an extremely dilute solution of salts. Water molecules concentration is more dilute than that of the cell sap, means the cytoplasm of the cell inside the root hairs. Therefore water will pass into the vacuole of the root hair by osmosis. Okay, they are separated by plasma membrane, so osmosis takes place. The entry of water dilutes the contents of the root hair vacuole, so that it becomes more dilute than its neighboring cell. So water passes into the neighboring cells, which in turn becomes diluted. Finally water enters the xylem vessels. So as there was vast number of root hairs and root cells involved a pressure in the xylem vessels, it develops which forces water upwards. This total pressure is known as root pressure. The pressure exerted by the root hair cells to push the water upwards. Root pressure is not the main cause of the movement of water in the xylem, but it is the one of the factor which helps in the transport of materials in the plants. Okay children, thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our channel. Please press the bell icon for receiving latest updates.